So I want to go over the wind and watertight condition used container a little bit more. We've got a couple of wind and watertight 20-foot used high cubes here. We're going to look at the outside, go over why I'm not a big fan, and point out some of the things to look for on these. Now, the outside of these are actually not too bad for wind and watertight. If I ordered a wind and watertight and these showed up, I actually would not be that unhappy. Unfortunately, most of your wind and watertight are way worse than these. So these don't have a lot of patches and rust on the outside, but as we get inside, you're gonna see the typical things in a wind and watertight container that we always see. And for the $200 to $300 that you save on these, and sometimes it's not even that, over a cargo worthy, the step up, I don't see the value, but they still function okay. I mean, they're better than a shed, they're okay for storage, they're all there, they don't leak water generally. So they have those things going for them, but for $200 or $300, you just get a much better product. And better yet, you could just buy a new one, and the new containers in this market just aren't that much more money at all. So let's take a look inside and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So we've got a couple here to look at, and as soon as we walk in the door of this, you're gonna see floor patches. Now the floor patches don't hurt functionality, but it just shows how rough they've been with the container. You can see a lot of rust scale here, and these are corten steel, so these generally do not rust through. But you can see this rust scale everywhere on the container. And like I said, this is just, I would call these better than average wind and watertight. Dents in the roof, and if those are concave on top, they're gonna be collecting water. More rust scale over there. So floor patches right off the bat, rust scale everywhere, dents in the roof. And like I said, some people just wanna save a couple $100 and you'll accomplish that with these. But if you order this online and this shows up and you're expecting a shipping container like most people think of, like a cargo worthy, you're not gonna be happy. And this rust scale, usually they paint over it. And there's a couple of companies that are notorious for not taking care of their leased containers, and that would be China Shipping, Costco, and a couple other companies. So those are containers to avoid altogether. You see here we've got more dents in the roof. And I just stepped on the floor. I can hear it moving a little bit. So let's walk into this other one and I'll show you a few more things on it. So as we walk in this one, you'll see same floor patches right away. So these forklifts have run over the front of it, dented it, cracked it, they've patched it, that's okay. But this one's got more rust scale, not as many dents in the roof, but rust scale everywhere. And the corten steel doesn't rust through, but it's ugly, and I mean, you don't really want to put household items in here. I believe these are China Shipping containers, something like that. So this prefix, another thing to look for on containers, if you can get a prefix, these are BBTU. Every single BBTU I see is beat up. Here's a 20-foot standard height. This is cargo worthy, but you can see it's just quite a bit better. It does have floor patches, but it doesn't have all that rust scale. The paint's got a little bit more sheen to it. Just in a lot better condition, and the difference between these is $200. So here's another cargo worthy here, and then there's a new one. So I highly recommend it. It's just an objective opinion that you buy cargo worthy when you're getting used. And here's a ZIMU prefix. These are Zim. They take good care of their containers. Here's another shot of the sides here. And you know, on the sales side, I might pay $200 less for wind and watertight than a cargo worthy. I pass that to the customer, so it makes no difference to me if you buy a cargo worthy or wind and watertight. We don't make any more money on the other one versus new or anything like that. So I just try to tell people objectively which one I would buy and why. But again, in this market, I would just buy a new one.